Well,
Oh,
welcome everybody to the Curious Ulsterman.
you stole my thunder.
Woo!
Oh,
Cheers.
for flip's sake. Yes, cheers, my friend. Let's see who's online here anyway, and we will get started.
Good man.
Right. Give me just a second. Still trying to play around these things and actually figure out how the whole bloody thing works, you know?
See, so I had a glass of wine with dinner, and so I couldn't really
Oh.
move on to beer without causing myself some kind of damage in the future. So I just stick with vino for the evening.
Oh, wow. Here it's there's my good friend Hendo. Hendo, what about you? Actually,
Hello, Hendo.
Yes, Hendo. He is also one of my ginger friends. So it's I'm currently outnumbered. Although
yeah.
I do have a very important question, Hendo, for you. So Nathan's already on the wine. However, I have to decide between the very nice bottle of whiskey you got me for doing that duty, or I've got Star Pramen.
What do you charge for doing duties? Goodness me. Hendo, you've been ripped off. You've been out.
I did it expecting nothing, and I expected nothing in return. Just helping a friend out, and he's very, very good lad. He's should have known it was Scappa. Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be. Although I have no tumblers, Hendo, so I'm gonna look really odd drinking out of a wine glass. So yeah, but I appreciate you coming on, brother. I went on Hendo's stream the other day.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing very well on his stream, but my internet connection is horrific. The fact that we can actually actually he wants me to show you the whiskey actually. So there you go. That is the very fine bottle of whiskey. It's definitely one of the most aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. I actually never heard of it until he got me it, and then I tried it, and it's wickedly smooth. I'll even show you that we see the color.
That's my Tinder profile name.
Do you know what, Hendo? I'll be, because it's a Friday, I'll be cheeky. I can probably have a little bit of whiskey and a little bit of beer as well. So I'll raise a toast for yourself.
Put it all in the same glass of a cocktail.
Oh, I've done that in leadership, but never again. That was right. Cheers, Hendo, to your health. Yeah, well, the last video got has had a fair amount of views, Nathan, between Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, a lot of people have really liked it, especially a lot of the stuff you had to say. But
oh dear,
I'm going to give him a couple of minutes here. I was watching it before you came online. Oh yeah, so Hendo, what did you think, Hendo? I know it's 3 hours long, but anything particular stick out that you like? I know I particularly enjoyed it, Nathan. It was 3 hours long, very drunk, but overall I think it was a really good conversation.
You might have been. I was stone cold sober, my friend. I don't know what you were doing.
I don't know. I was. I think I was free. I think I had three Guinness deep, and I hadn't been drinking in a while, so it hit me unusually hard. It was good. Didn't see it all because you popped up on here. It's good. You guys have a great dynamic. Yeah, thanks, Hendo. Hendo's been very kind. He's actually going to come on the podcast at some point in the new year as well.
Cool,
so it'll be good to have you on. Maybe you can join us on a live stream at some point, Hendo, when you're not killing it on your own stream. But
what's Hendo's podcast about?
Oh, Hendo hasn't got a podcast. He's got a stream. So
does he Twitch?
He does. He Twitch. Hendo, tell me if I'm butchering this name, but I believe that it's become quite popular, and they've got their own little like gang now. It's Scrunch Squad. I think it's a very Scottish word. But yeah, he Twitches a variety of games, and yeah, he has a loyal following. So yeah,
awesome.
Good on you, Hendo.
Yeah, well done, mate. Well done,
Yeah,
Shag.
I've got it. Yeah, my Scotch is gotten a lot better after 10 years. My mom gives me grief for that as well. She's like, "What is that you're saying?" And it's like, "I'm not saying anything." She's saying it. You're saying it with that Glaswegian, that Scottish twang type thing. It's like, well, there's worse accents to have.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, but how's your weekend been, brother?
Yeah, it's all right. It was a week. Yeah, nothing particularly exciting happened. I had an interview on Tuesday that I was told that if I was successful, they would have contacted me by yesterday. And soon as they haven't contacted me by today, I'm assuming I was not successful. So other than that, and going out for a reasonably long bike ride with my dad. Not done anything really. It's been a very quiet week. How about you?
I've realized just how difficult it is to podcast. It's enjoyable, but it's damn hard work.
Okay.
And yeah, it's initially it all went. I was very well prepared, and everything went to plan. Bar when I tried to film it, the memory card just wasn't good enough for it. Like it had more than enough memory, but apparently there's like different tiers of quality of memory card. So when I did it, it just couldn't keep up with the demands of what the camera was asking. So it kept cutting out like every 15 minutes, which wasn't too bad. It's just a case of pausing and starting, pausing and starting. But that was a good lesson to know. And I, for once, read the instructions on something, and thank goodness I did, because it told me how to do a backup recording. So there's the mic I'm using now. The guest was using a mic, and because of my inexperience of podcasting, what I didn't realize was that these are dynamic microphones, so they pick up noise from everywhere. Not they pick up if it's aimed at your face, it's perfect. But if you've got it like tilted slightly away and someone else in the room is talking, it's going to pick it up as well. So on the original recording, both our voices can be heard in each other's microphones, which makes the audio sound weird. But on the actual recording device, it's got its own microphone, and the quality was good enough to use. So we're going to use that probably for the actual episode due in March. My mate is a sound engineer, so he's going to sort it out for us. And yeah, that was a big learning experience for my first ever interview. It went well. The episode is live at the minute, just on Anchor. But yeah, I think I've honed in on a permanent podcast host. So it's moving. But tell you what, I have a new respect for YouTubers and podcasters and all this. You think, oh, it's all right, just stick your go on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. You don't realize just how much hard work it really, really is.
Yeah.
You know, but that's something actually it's probably worth discussing, Nathan. So you've had an unsuccessful job interview, which no doubt a lot of young people are going to experience. What do you think your advice would be to folks who have had an unsuccessful job interview and not to get discouraged?
That's a good question. I mean, it's difficult because I know, like with the first few interviews I had lined up, I kind of messaged around a bunch of people telling them I had interviews coming up, and then with each unsuccessful one, finding myself messaging less people so that I don't have to then explain to as many people that it was not successful, which I think is probably a negative behavior, even if it is just a, do you know what I mean? I think I've reacted negatively because I'm like, oh, what's the point of telling these people, because I'm not going to get the job. And so I think actually it's quite difficult actually maintaining that positivity. And I don't think I actually have an answer yet, but other than just having to keep on going. So like on Tuesday, even, almost as soon as the interview was finished, I was back online firing out applications to different companies. based on what I was finding. So I suppose it's just having to keep on going regardless, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and almost having to swallow down that sense of failure, not to press it down to, like, you know, but just to not let it get bigger than actually what you're trying to do. You know, I think, yeah, I would say I don't think I've got the answers right yet.
Yeah.
It's a case of just trying to just keep on going, you know.
Yeah. Hendo has replied in the chat. I job hunted every day for about 8 months. I'd say that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, but I work with Dinger now. Cheeky cunt.
I mean,
I love you too, even if you are an arsehole. me and Hendo go back a long time, actually. We work together in the same boat, and Hendo has also reduced my life expectancy by about a solid week, because for about a year and a half on course, all he did was fucking jump scare me, and behind every door. Found him underneath my bed at random points, just grabbing my ankle. I'm like, man, the amount of times I had heart palpitations from fucking Hendo and his little jump scares. Probably the best time on course, actually. And Hendo will probably be fucking doing this silly Jimmy Carr laugh when I'm doing this. But I left. He had his Xbox in the room. I went out of the room, filled up the kettle, came back, and I was just gonna go make myself an honest cup of tea. And he was sat facing the television, and all he said was, "I took a shit in your kettle." And I paused. Bear in mind, I was halfway through pouring my cup of tea. Now, I had just filled this empty kettle with water, so I knew there was nothing in it. But he said it with such authority and conviction. That was done in such a menacing way that I was like, I'm actually doubting myself here. Like, what? And then he looked behind me. He's like, "Oh shit, sorry, mate." And he's talking to his mate. His mate had given him some shit, and I just happened to walk in at the exact moment, and he just happened to have that exact insult. And I was like, the universe had me aligned for that. And I was like, to this day, like, I think it was the most I've ever seen a human being laugh. But at the same time, I was stuck there absolutely mortified. I was like, "Is he genuinely took a shit in my kettle? What?"
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past many Matlos.
Oh.
What do you think was the wildest story when you were on board, or this the weirdest one?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a few, but I think, like, there was on a unit that will remain unnamed, and again, a sailor who shall remain unnamed to protect the innocent. Not true. He's not innocent.
Just sorry to interrupt. We have a lot of people on here who I don't recognize. What's going on here? Sorry, to continue, Nathan. I'm just very surprised at the amount of people here.
But there was so it's not so much a wild story as such, but this particular lad was known for making up stories, and stories that were just obscene and very obviously false, and quite, and no one really quite knew why he did it. And so, like, one of his stories he had was that when he was on the Invincible, they were out at sea and doing flight deck PT. And for those of you who are not in the know, the Invincible was an aircraft carrier. So just imagine where the flight deck is in relation to where the sea level is. That's just what I want you just bear that in mind. The distance between sea level and flight deck level is quite significant on an aircraft carrier. He claimed that whilst doing this PT, a dolphin jumped onto the flight deck. It spotted this dolphin as it was coming into land, ran underneath it, caught it, ran it to the edge, and topped it, back in, dropped it back into the.
Mm.
And everyone but it was very, very funny. But he just made stuff up all the time, that guy, and that was quite outrageous.
We had a.
Go
on. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I think that it's not particularly not wild as such. I know many people have done this, but doing a naked 2-deck dash to see how far you can get before you get caught. They're always fun. I did a few of them in my time.
A naked bar. It's always good fun. Yeah. Yeah. I've just so you're aware. Hendo has been very generous and apparently called all his friends to come and come and watch us here. So thank you very much to all of you who have joined us. So if you are new here, I'll give you a very.
Has he done the Boromir thing? Has he?
Yeah, he has done. In fact, he's done the Lord of the Rings, the Gondor. The beacons are lit. That's what he's done. The beacons are lit.
The beacons are lit.
For those of you who are the first time on this channel, I'll give you a very quick rundown of what you're actually listening to. So, my name's John. Although Hendo would call me Dinger. This is my very good friend Nathan Senior, who is my co-host on these live streams, but I do have a side podcast that she's very kindly agreed to co-host in the event I have to go to see. The name of the podcast is The Curious Ulsterman. The whole point of it is to chat about and learn all the skills and wisdom that we really need to adult and thrive in adulthood, but we're not taught in school. So we're all very familiar with you learn how to do trigonometry, but you never learn how to apply for a mortgage or change a car tire or anything of that nature. So essentially this is the informal chill out part of the podcast where we just come on a Friday night to tell a few stories, drink some beer, whiskey, tea, whatever your tipple is, and for the community to get involved in the podcast. So if you have any questions actually on the subject of learning to adult better, or any suggestions of what you would actually like on this podcast, that would be really helpful. So to give you an idea, the way I've organized it is the first week of the month, I've got a financial advisor who's going to come on and tell you how to do your finances better. So the idea being you've just been paid and you're going to obviously want to go to the club or get that new toy you want. Instead, right, well, actually, here's a better way to save. Here's a better way to invest, or just, good monetary practice that you're not taught in school. Second week is basic skills. So, for example, how to do well in a job interview, how to professionally network. Hendo's going to come on one of those weeks, and if you want to start a Twitch channel properly and know what you're doing, Hendo is very kindly going to come on and talk about that. So thank you, Hendo. Week 3 is more abstract, so that's going to be stuff like mental health and other topics that I can think off the top of my head, hopefully. For the mental health one, really recommend tuning into that. I've got an Iraq War veteran who's now become a full-time therapist. Who's going to come on, and he's absolutely amazing. So you can look forward to that. He's going to come on at least once a quarter, and we're going to do a really deep dive into mental health and help folks cope with that. Week 4 is going to be profession-based. So I've got so far a nurse, a policeman, a therapist.
Police officer, dear.
Oh yes, I forgot you English are slightly different. So yeah, and basically the point is that you come on, let's say you have an inkling to be a nurse or a police officer, or pick your profession. Basically, I'm going to sit them down for an hour or longer, and we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of what their job entails. So
I want to be a stripper. Can you get one of them to come on and talk about how I get into that job?
Sure, I'll get anyone on just for you,
no,
Nathan.
I mean, wallpaper. I want to know how to decorate properly.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. You've been serious now, and I'm derailing you. Sorry, keep going.
No. It's like I say, it's informal, and I don't think I can ever get angry at you. And you're also very Viking looking, so you just intimidate. That's all. Just like put on your angry Viking, and that's it. Yeah. So week 4, be profession based. So if you have an inkling to become a nurse or a banker, or pick your profession, we'll sit them down and say what's the best and worst bit about your job. What would you recommend to anyone who's coming into this field? What do you wish you knew before? Yeah. So that's currently the layout of the podcast. And then I've got a special every month. So gonna have various people come on who have a very interesting story to tell, and hopefully give some inspiration. So for example, one of them is an Iraq war veteran. He was a medic who went through addiction, alcoholism, and all the unfortunately bad stuff. And then he's now got his life back on track, and he's a university lecturer, and he's got a young family on the way, which is great for him. Awesome. Another one was a gentleman I know who was a firefighter on 9/11, nearly died when I think it was the North Tower nearly collapsed on him.
Hi, caramba.
He then left the fire service, and just through a lot of bad luck, unfortunately, he ended up going back home, getting divorced. His wife left him, and he was left with a child with disabilities, and he had $12 in his pocket, and he went from that to owning his own business and being a multi-million dollar CEO of a very successful company. And his story is just amazing. So he's going to come on.
How do you know this many people?
It's it is it's the place I mentioned last week that you're not particularly fond of, Nathan.
All right, the cult.
The cult. Yes, the Iron Council. Yes. So yeah, a lot of really wholesome blokes are going to come on, and a lot of really wholesome, a lot of really good blokes are going to come on and have a chat. So I've also secured a guy from Manchester who's going to come on in the second quarter, so that'll be this summer. He's going to come on and talk about engineering, but specifically nuclear. So we're going to have a chat about if you want to become an engineer, perhaps in the nuclear field, but we're also going to have a very interesting chat about a lot of the myths surrounding nuclear, especially as we strive for greener and more sustainable energy resources. I may have gone on for a bit there, folks, but that is my podcast in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, please do get involved with the chat. If you want to know more about me or Nathan, or you have your own opinions on what you would like to see in this, it's my podcast, but I also really value your input. Jamie, why am I calling you Jamie? I've never called you Jamie. Hendo, what was the thing you suggested? I'm gonna butcher this name, but it was like Hendo had a phenomenal idea. It was like a charcuterie board or something. So a professional chef.
What did you just say?
Someone like me would go into a supermarket. I'm trying to. It's like Hendo hopefully can give me the proper name of it. It's essentially, do you know, like Mediterranean boards?
I know exactly what it is. Yeah.
What's it called?
You say it. No. Keep saying it. Keep saying it in your dodgy Ulster accent. It's fantastic.
Is this as bad as the situation, superstructure, and power shower sayings?
No. Yeah, those don't sound fine, but the word you just said isn't even in any language.
I'm gonna try and pronounce this. He's even put an exclamation mark at the end of it. I know Hendo. I know it's a struggle. Charcuterie.
That's the one.
charcuterie. Is that the
You're
correct?
almost there. That'll do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How do Vikings say that? How do they describe that dish?
Meat on a board.
Meat. That's what I'm gonna call it. Sorry, Hendo. The meat on the board. So chef
Sometimes
goes
with cheese,
off.
but meat on a board.
Yeah, yeah. But he had he or one of his viewers had a really good idea of a chef and me would go into the supermarket and say, right, this is your challenge. Go and find and make go and find here's a set of ingredients. Go and find the best you can, and then make this dish. This professional chef will obviously do it far better, but the idea being, like, for example, let's say you're a student and you don't want to eat exclusively pot noodles. You know, you can go in with a budget of say less than £10 and make yourself a really good meal. And the chef will obviously show you the better way to do it. And I can do it from a position of no expertise and not really knowing what I'm doing. But I thought that was quite a good idea, and that could be something that could certainly branch off. Yeah. Hendo says, yeah, that's what it is. Put it on a full spread. Yeah.
I mean, that's not even just like for students. I mean, just all part of that adulting kind of thing of good use of money when it comes to food shopping. I think is a good, and the benefits of doing a big shop rather than doing just doing like a one-off shop for the day kind of thing. There's so I suppose there's that kind of way of looking at it as well.
Yeah, I just to a couple of inputs in the chat here, Robbie. I did see your comment there, Rob. It's just completed training. He's an engineer now, so he's joking, saying no engineers closer to home. Jokes, but yeah, we can get you on at some point, I'm sure, Robbie. Then Hendo rightly saying here, yeah, 2 levels of experience, same budget, then compare. Yeah, I really like that.
That's good. That's good.
What I'm trying to think actually, what would be another good example of that? Maybe the first example that pops into my head would be given kind of like a Top Gear scenario. You get given £500 each. Professional mechanic or car dealer goes off and gets a car, and you buy what you think is a good car. Compare and why.
I was literally about to say the same thing about a car. Yeah.
Yeah, because that ties in well with you're desperate to get your first car and you just want a car. You want that independence, and I think the emotion and the money suddenly in your pocket can overtake good sense. Whereas if there's someone on your shoulder to say this is a far better deal, or you can get something far better if you wait just a little bit longer and you know what you're looking for, I love how we're all of the same mind here, because Hendo has just said, yeah, that's where my mind went to as well. Let me see actually who's in the chat here, see if there's anyone here. Amy's here as well, so welcome back, Amy.
Hello, Amy.
Yeah, she was very good with the questions last week. If you have any questions, Amy, by all means, just ask away. Don't be shy. Let me see. Oh, Hendo, what are you saying here? Great deals on whiskey or wines, home improvement, furniture, or utility items. Yeah. Perhaps actually that's something we could do, Hendo, because Hendo's very big into his whiskey. Perhaps we could do a stream just on whiskey, like a one-off or something. If that's something you would be interested in, do let us know. Amy says hi. Hi, Amy. Yeah. Overall, I think this podcast is going in a very good direction. I mean, I'm still on that almost vertical learning curve of trying to learn what to do. But overall, I'm trying to come across in a way that doesn't sound like it's bragging, but I've gotten off to a far better start than I think than most, because from what I've seen, a lot of people just tend to get a mic and just talk, and fair play for having the minerals to like actually start a podcast, because I'll tell you now, it's quite intimidating putting your head above the parapet. But when I was going into this, I thought I'm not going in without a plan. So committed. Like at the minute, for those of you who aren't aware, I've got the first quarter of content already done. It's all going to be recorded and then day, like that's going to look like, and then it's going to be weekly releases after that, with the live stream then happening every Thursday or Friday, depending what me and Nathan can do. So the first quarter's already done, and I would say maybe 40-50% of the content for the summer is already done. But that's just from me looking and trying to get stuff sorted. So I welcome any and all suggestions for what you want to hear, or what skills you're lacking or want to improve, just anything in that general matter. But I do like how I've come up with what I think is quite varied. From what I seen at the very start when I was starting this, people went on and on about find your micro niche, find like talk specifically about one subject. And I went, okay, I can see the logic. At the same time though, like there's so much to talk about. So I mean, like, in your opinion, is there any way do you think it could be made better, or just do you have any opinions on the podcast on your own?
I really like the structure you've got. I think it's pretty cool. I like the fact you made it episodic, and so if people are only interested in one aspect of it, they could just tune into that bit. I really like your passion and drive for it as well. And actually, I think that's what's gonna make it cross that finish line. It's not, I think it's the fact that you are prepared to carry this and see it through. I think you. Apart from this bit, where it's just me and you spinning dates, I think all your ideas are great.
I think you'll be a great asset to this podcast. Just so you are all aware, Nathan is probably going to start a podcast of his own soon, and he's generally quite funny and got something useful to say most of the time. So when his finally goes up, we'll hopefully send a few of you his way as well. But yeah, the Twitch thing was quite strange. I actually was never going to set up a Twitch channel because I didn't see the point in it. I thought it was exclusively for gaming. But for now, I've seen that it's actually probably a far better platform to go on.
It's a very cool platform.
Yeah, definitely. For some reason, though, and this is something that, again, I just don't know what I'm doing on Twitch. For some reason, every time I start this Twitch channel, it says that I'm playing World of Warships Legends. So this isn't coming under like a talk show. This is coming under like a specific game. So people are in for a shock when they just see a jolly Viking and some random Ulsterman chatting about adult problems. So I need to change that on the conclusion of this stream.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Couple of things in the chat there. So the quality of guests coming on sounds great. Yeah, yes. I agree. Probably, if I'm totally honest, I am a bit nervous, and I'll use the full weight of the word. So I was going to ask a couple of, there's a comedian and his mate who run the Dirt Civil podcast, and it's not out of the realms of possibility that they would say no to coming on to a podcast, especially if I word it right. They'll definitely be the most high profile guests that I would have on. But the idea being that I would get someone semi-famous or someone high profile to come on at the end of each quarter, so that, I'd have like 4 big guests a year. And I have no idea who those would be, but I'll take any suggestions. Robbie's just saying McCann and Tim moved to London in a few months. Clock's ticking. The joys of Zoom, Robbie. The joys of Zoom. As much as I'd love to do it in person, Zoom could do it. And Hendo says, "Yeah, hit me with the link and I'll get involved when." Yeah, so there you go. You've got your first subscriber, Nathan. When you start your podcast.
Cool.
But yeah, that's the idea. The idea is to have that structure. And again, actually, I do agree with you what you said earlier, that it gives people the option. Like, if people are only interested in what the financial advisor has to say, then great. If they're interested in the basic skills they need to adult, happy days. If they really, really want to know what it's like to be in a certain profession or a few professions, because you know what it's like yourself, you leave school and you have no idea what you want to do. well, I think I was the exception to the rule. I knew exactly I wanted to go in maritime engineering, but I think I was quite rare. I think a lot of people sort of don't really know. I think we discussed this last week. Did you know exactly what you wanted to do when you left, or did you,
Not really.
no,
I floundered for a little bit.
Yeah, but I think that's not uncommon. It's also not to be frowned upon. I think it's okay to leave school and try and find your bearings and try and find something that you're passionate about. Yeah. I actually shared an interesting thing with Nathan there a couple of days ago. It was of all things a Venn diagram. So cast your minds back to math class. But there's basically like a Venn diagram to try and ascertain your ideal job or purpose. So if you just Google that, I wish I knew how to share that kind of picture or thing on Twitch. Oh, what's happening there? The screens just came up. Who's that? Is that you, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm
It
just
is.
showing the Venn diagram.
Oh crap! Yeah, thank you. I was really baffled there. I was like, because I've got the Zoom screen and I've got the Twitch screen, and then I was like, this is this random like image of exactly what I need. It just suddenly appears, and I'm like, oh my word!
Well, you sent it to me,
Yeah.
so you know.
Yeah. So hopefully you caught that. Yeah. Yeah. So that I find that particularly useful, especially if I'm and the Venn diagrams are actually probably the one useful bit of math that I use all the time in my daily life. Like, you know, if I need to make a decision, Venn diagram. There you go. Amy said, I thought I did. Do you want to elaborate on the chat if you don't mind, Amy? Because that would be interesting to talk about. Yeah. In fact, if anyone else in the chat or who is listening in wants to chime in on that conversation, by all means, because I know that's like when you're that's a weird thing we could probably discuss. It's strange how you're 17 and 364 days and you're just a kid, and the next day you're a fully legal adult. You're expected to have your life together, have a plan, know where you're going, know what you're doing, have it all figured out. And if you don't, it's kind of like, well, there's clearly something wrong there. Get your act together. I think that's deeply unfair, and because you're not equipped at all.
Yeah. But I suppose then again, it goes back to what you're saying about different people and how they react to things. So I can remember, I think I'd be about 12, I think. My younger brother, he was 10, and him categorically telling me that he was going to be a primary school teacher. You know, age 10, he had made that resolution. And he is, you know, I think, I may be wrong, but he's now an assistant head teacher of a primary school. You know, so he has done that. You know, he went to college, university, did his teaching degree, spent a few years teaching in Spain because you know it was the only place he could. He did his NQT year, then went and taught in Spain, then came back, and he's now teaching over in Manchester or somewhere over there. But you know, he's, you know, like he was very, you know, he had a plan and he knew what he was doing and he stuck to it and went with it. Whereas I was less planned, you know, and less organized. So I suppose, you know, like even within a family unit, you can have, you know, different, well, because we all have different personalities and different drives, don't we? So, you know.
Yeah, that's really interesting because something I think that is quite encouraging is to see, like, for example, people like yourself who are, and I'm not trying to, you know, blow smoke up your ass, but someone that I deeply respect, someone that a lot of people deeply respect and seek advice from, and generally has a well level headed on their shoulders. And it's really encouraging. Don't take this the wrong way, to see you not have it all figured out, to know that at one stage Nathan wasn't the wise person that we all go to for wisdom or advice or
It wasn't
whatever.
just
It
at
was
one
at one
stage,
point
it's
Nathan
many
was a
stages.
17-year-old who hadn't a Scooby what he was doing. And it's
And a
it's quite good to know.
25-year-old and a 30-year-old and a 35-year-old
Oh,
and
yeah,
now a
okay, yeah.
39-year-old, like.
Let's let's just like be honest. And I said this last week. We're all winging it. I don't care what age we are. We're all winging it because as soon as you get used to like being a certain age, suddenly your birthday comes around and there's new life experiences and there's like new responsibilities and there's new
Yeah, yeah.
jobs and there's yeah, you never. It's like it's a constant moving conveyor belt. But it's good that because I think there is this immense pressure to like be 18 and you're supposed it's almost like this imposed no it's like a covert contract in a way, like you're expected to know what to do, you're expected to at least have a plan, and if you just say like I have no idea, like all I've done is sit in school and learn a variety of 10 or 11 subjects, I have experienced nothing of this world, like at most you've maybe traveled to Spain or further parts of Europe, America, but like when you're 18, you have no real life experience to be making decisions that are going to be affecting the rest of your lives. And then we judge people if they don't. It's like, come on, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I there's an interesting one. Do you? Because I know this is a debate that happened recently. Do you think more people should go to university or less? And I don't mean that as in from an academic ability. What I mean is, let's say university was open to all. Do you think that it's a good idea for people to go to university or to just hold off and then maybe start a year later, 2 years later? I do have my own opinion on it, but I'll let you chime in.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think I didn't go to university, but then in my peer group, the vast majority of my friends did. A few of them moved away to go to universities further away, but a few stayed local and went to local universities, so they didn't even have to like leave home. And so for them, the routine didn't really change as such. So it was, the same routine of getting up and going to secondary school was the same routine as getting up and going to college was the same routine as getting up and going to uni. And it wasn't until they graduated and eventually got a job and things that they even moved away from home and started and that kind of thing. And again, because a lot of my peer group friends were fellow Bible bashers, they were moving home because they were getting married.
What's up?
Still there? No, sorry, I just got a little grey window saying your internet connection is unstable, and so I thought maybe we died.
Welcome,
we're okay,
welcome to my world in Scotland. Well, at least this particular part.
So I think so they were doing that where I wasn't. I didn't do that. I didn't go to university. I had moved away from home, and remain successfully unmarried at age 39. And so you've got all these different things that are going on there. But then again through King's Church when I was down in Portsmouth, which had a very large student congregation, I ended up just making friends with a lot of people who were students. And so I've got a lot of time for people who pursue that academia and go off and learn, because often I've just sat down with a cup of coffee and said, right, tell me about what you're learning, tell me about what you're doing at university. One of my really good friends is someone who Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah. Apologies, everyone.
Hola.
Unfortunately, this is the standard of internet I have to work with. When I'm back home in Northern Ireland, it won't be anywhere near as bad as this. Apologies. Sorry,
That's
Nathan.
cool.
Carry on.
No, it's fine. I was just saying. So, like, yeah, I think it's part of it's one of many pathways in the adventure of life that's open. I think I certainly when I was going through secondary school, I know that like particularly in when you arrive in year 10 and you start that GCSE slog there, that every teacher's motivation was you need to do well at GCSEs so you go on and get A levels and go to university. And that felt like every teacher was talking about that. No one was talking about any other option. It felt like there was no other pathway. And so there I am sat there with the academic capability of a house brick, thinking, how am I going to achieve, I don't know if I want to go to university. I don't know if I want to do any of those things. And then coupled together with, parental expectations and personal expectations and also the wider family as well. I mean, when my grandmother was still alive, on one of the walls in her flat in the living room, she had photographs of all of her grandchildren in their gowns with the hats and everything. And then there in the middle of some of them was me in my sailor suit, you know. But there was no, coming from my grandma, there was no sense of like that any of us were any less valued to her because of the different choices we'd made, or any more even. She loved us all equally. And I think it's difficult because I sometimes feel that you feel like you're walking through along a tightrope that's trying to please other people rather than doing what you think you should be doing. So are you going to university to please parents or teachers? Are you going into a career? I mean, when I went through HMS Raleigh, there was a boy who was there because his dad had been a sailor and his granddad had been a sailor and his great granddad had been a sailor, and he didn't want to be there and he cried himself to sleep every night, but he was there just because this familiar expectation upon him. She's it's grim. I can't imagine that. Can you? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't put myself in that mindset. So I think when you're talking about that, should people go to uni or wherever, I think there's nothing wrong with not having a clue what to do, but I think it's wrong to remain clueless, especially when there is such a wide wealth of knowledge that you can go to. And I think it's a case of sometimes it's personal courage, isn't it? Or deciding that you're going to switch your PlayStation off and do some research. Or you're going to not do something in order to have a conversation with someone else. And so I think it's okay to be clueless. I just think it's not okay to remain clueless.
Yeah.
That answered your question.
Yeah, that's really good, Nathan. Yeah, no, 100%. And you said a couple of things there that I would like to touch on in parental expectations and societal expectations and just expectations in general. And that is like, so for example, you said like you're not married yet or this sort of thing, and there is this covert contract with society that if by the time you're 30 you're not married with kids, people automatically assume something's not quite right, which is really stupid because it's kind of like, well, like everyone has their own very, very unique journey in this life. No story is the same. And it's like, you can fall into the comparison trap, which is obviously very dangerous. And it's kind of like, well, if you start comparing your chapter 5 to someone's chapter 20, suddenly life doesn't get very pleasant, and you're kind of like, well, they've got, or someone's already married 5 years, or somebody's already got 2 kids, or they've already got the BMW, or they're 10 years ahead in their professional career. But then a lot of people, while they're so busy, like wishing that they had that, or they at least had met the expectation, the guy who has already been married 5 years, I'm sure there's a lot of times that, God, I wish I was single again. Or the person who's owning the really expensive car is like, this was a great idea when I initially bought it, but now 6 months down the line, this car is killing me with car payments. Or the guy in a professional career who's 10 years ahead of you goes to the office every day thinking, I hate my job, but this is really well paid and affords me the lifestyle I want. And it's like, well, we all have these expectations of each other, but it would be nice if we just had the expectation to go and do whatever makes you happy and fulfilled. And like, how much of a nicer world would that be? I mean, like, if the only expectation we had of each other was, I hope you go off and find a job that makes you feel happy and fulfilled and contributes to society, that'd be great. Like, I don't know whether that would be like, for me, like, for argument's sake, if I can make a living out of podcasting, and every single week I deliver some form of content or value that, someone is listening in their car stuck in traffic and goes, yeah, actually that really resonates with me. I'm going to go and take some form of messy action, so to speak. And actually, I'm not going to, whatever action I'll take, it's not perfect, but it's a step in the direction I want to go. If there's someone who is sick of going to work and having to work for a bit of a boss who's a jerk, well, screw it. I listened to whatever guest was on my Johnny's podcast, and this guest inspired me to start my own business in crocheting, as you mentioned last week. And it's all these expectations that I think they come from a good place, because we expect that the expectation of being married, kids, established in your career by a certain time frame equals happiness, which I think is a recipe for disaster, because that's a one size fits all solution that isn't going to fit everyone. So, an example, just not picking on you, Amy, but like Amy suddenly decided one day, actually, a career change is better for me. This is, looking at my future, this is better. But no doubt some people will have judged, some people will have said, or will always have nasty things to say. But, fair play for anyone who's like, goes, okay, I've received new information, and regardless of expectation, I'm just going to personal and the professional, because like again, that's something we could deep dive into, but we'll maybe save that for another time. It is these weird covert contracts that's expected but never communicated with us from society, that a certain level of success is expected by a certain amount of time. And it's like, well, where does this standard come from? Where is this like unspoken rule that by a certain age you're supposed to have certain things figured out? And it's like, well, what happens if you make a mistake like humans do? Less of a person, less capable, it's ridiculous. But I know I've gone on a bit here, but
no,
that's just my take on it. I just find that I was quite lucky in that that by chance, for those of you who don't know, a gentleman just happened to be outside my school with a recruiting card for my current line of work. If he hadn't have been there, there's a very good likelihood that I would have been like the rest of my year group and not had a Scooby what I wanted to do when I left school. So by chance of someone just showing up and happened to hand out a recruitment poster for my line of work, that's how I ended up where I am. But like for argument's sake, let's say I never did join maritime engineering, would I be a lesser man for not doing that if I'd have just went to uni, not really knowing what I was wanting to do, did all these things, and it's like, well, I'm sure I'd have met some expectations and others I wouldn't, but I don't know. It's a very, very strange thing that expectations are thrust upon you, but at the same time, those expectations are never totally transparent. They're always like kind of in the shadows, so to speak. They're kind of like, well, people will silently judge you if you're not meeting their particular expectations of what success is. Whereas, it would just be nice if like somebody went, "What are you doing?" and you said what you were doing. Are you happy in that line of work? Is it fulfilling? Yeah, it is. Good for you. Rock on. That's just my take on it. What do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think though that even if it wasn't fulfilling, I think that certainly there's nothing wrong with it, because I mean there's a certain truth to the statement that it's easy to find a job when you have a job. And I think that I think one of the things that would be good for us to discuss at some point, and particularly when you're interviewing your professionals, is what are the right questions to ask? Because I think that they're important as well, because if you're not asking the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers. And maybe someone is, and it sounds really like I'm being rotten when I say this, and I'm not. But if someone's happy working in a factory, then cool, because we need people who work in factories. If someone's happy being a CEO of a business, also cool, because we need CEOs of business. It's not the, I think it's recognizing the fact that we can't all be CEOs, otherwise nothing would happen. Your ratio of chiefs to Indians needs to be correct in order to get things done. So I think that that's probably a non-PC term anymore, isn't it? I probably shouldn't have said that. I apologize. But
there's a free speech podcast, mate. I want people to express themselves as freely as they can. I mean, like, what? Sorry to go off on a tangent, but at some point, every word in the English language is going to be offensive to someone. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Just don't say "ni."
Ni.
But yes, I think when we're looking at that, it's not just about being, because are you fulfilled? No, but some people just have a job to earn enough money so they can do their hobby, and that's what fulfills them. And so the job is literally just putting those sweet Benjamins into their bank account so they can do that hobby. Or when we're going back to that thing about buying a car, you might, because I don't really know anything about cars, but you might have a factory job, but you might spend every penny you've got on that vehicle, so because that's where your satisfaction's at, that's where your fulfillment's at. Or you might go and watch every single one of your chosen sports teams events, but you need that job to pay for those tickets. I think there's all kinds of there's different ways of looking at fulfillment, isn't there? I suppose when we're looking at it that way. So if you've just got a job that gives you enough money for you to do your hobby, and your hobby is where your satisfaction's at, that's cool. If you've got a job that absolutely, you wake up every morning excited because of what this job is, then awesome, brilliant, I think that's really cool. But I think and especially when you're talking to your people about mental health and stuff, if if you're waking up every morning wishing you hadn't woken up because of what the day is bringing, then, you know, I don't think that's great, no matter what the job is. You know, so I think there's, yeah, I don't know. I think that's, again, I think it comes back to knowing the right questions to ask. And I think also knowing the right people to ask those questions of. And I think that's where things like this, what you're doing, and other resources that are out there are useful. It's just a case of being pointed towards those useful things, isn't it? You know, and knowing that they're available. I think that's important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, hit the nail on the head again, Nathan. Yeah, just to follow, because Nathan can't see the chat, just to let you know, Amy was saying that when we were talking about expectations and people judging you, Amy said 100% as a dancer, people would look down on me because I was, quote, just a dancer and thought I'd be nothing more. To which I replied, yeah, that's not fair. The only people whose opinion matters is your family and your tribe who have your best interests at heart. And then Amy touched on something here. Her reply, exactly. However, there is some satisfaction in proving them wrong. And this is something actually that I thought about as well, in that there is a certain satisfaction in proving your doubters wrong. A quote I heard once, I don't know who said it, but it struck with me, was that the best revenge against your doubters, or pick a name, your bullies or people you don't like or whatever, is to live a life far more happy and successful than they ever will, because then they're not living rent free inside your head. You're too busy enjoying your own life, living in satisfaction, and in the present and in fulfillment, to be worrying about what your doubters have to say while they're still stuck in their old ways. Yeah, that's just an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the, you know, the Royal Navy is a classic place for that. I work a bunch of lads who put their notice in to leave, and senior rates, so petty officers and chief petty officers, being very vocal and aggressive about like why they're leaving. They're never going to do anything. They're just going to end up homeless. And now these guys are doing great things, you know, and you know, because they had that courage, if you like, to leave an institution. I mean, you know, if you excuse the warfare, the martial side of it, the military is a very safe place. It's a very safe environment where you're guaranteed to be paid, but not just paid, but they feed you and clothe you as well. And you know, I think I was like 30 when I bought, you know, the first time ever, and I had to buy a bed, and I didn't realize that a bed didn't come with a mattress, pillows, or a duvet, and I was absolutely horrified at the fact that I had to buy those things separately. But for other people, everyone else knew this, and I was like, why do you have to buy a mattress? Because when I went on the internet and searched for this thing, the bed, the picture had a mattress, it had a duvet, it had pillows, so I thought that's what I was buying. You know, for 700 quid, I thought that's what I was buying. It turns out I was just buying a frame. I was furious. You know, but like, I think, you know, when you, the thing what I don't like is when people say just. So like what Amy said, when people were saying just a dancer, that's, you know, that's really an awful word, isn't it? In that context, you know, because no one's just anything, you know, and I think that's really, it irked something inside me when you read that message out.
Yeah, there is something so demeaning about that word, but it says a lot about the individual who is saying that, because to me that speaks of like insecurity and like and not, if it's not insecurity, it's just snobbiness. And if people are really snobby and looking down on you anyway, it's kind of like, well, do you really want to be associated with them people anyway? Nah, they're not your tribe. So yeah, don't worry, I've had plenty of people who say
a little bit of jealousy.
Yeah, I mean, like that. Can I just say, Amy? Actually, it takes a lot of minerals to go and be a dancer. I mean, like you, and evidence of this: go to any wedding, right? and everybody has to have at least 2 or 3 pints of liquid courage before they even set foot on the dance floor. So, yeah, fair play to you, mate.
Yeah. I dance like continental plate shift.
I'm afraid I've only got the Matlow Shuffle to bring to bear. So, yeah. Well, though saying that, after maybe 4 pints of liquid courage, I might have a bit of MJ in me. Who knows?
the 2-deck 2-step. Yeah. Oh, man, tell me about it.
Right.
It's terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, as much as I would love to stay on, me and Nathan have both agreed that for our sakes and yours, that the this stream will not go on for 3 hours like it did last week. Consider that like the opening spiel, so to speak. But we've agreed that the maximum we'll stay on to is a quarter past. So, if you
that
have
was your time for questions, if you got any.
Yeah, I was just gonna say final questions, or is there any current world events you want us to give a quick chat on, or maybe save for next week? Yeah, just chat. Get involved in the chat. Yeah,
Take the
I must admit,
vaccine. Don't be an anti-vaxxer.
Oh God, no, you know. Yeah, I must admit I'm really enjoying these live streams. I know it's a second one already, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of potential with this. And as much as I love the main podcast, I do like how informal this is, and we can just chat with whatever, you know.
Oh, pardon me. Yes.
I'm actually. Do you know what I'm now thinking, Nathan? And this has only happened since the start. I think that's the first time in 10 years I've ever seen you drink wine. I've only ever seen you drink beer. Yeah.
Well, I do every now and again. I have to surprise myself. Yeah.
Yeah, you're surprising the world. Good grief. Yeah, I'll. What I was thinking I might save it for next week was Star Ramen. That's my. I do like that. Now I must admit, although they stopped serving it in the bar recently, which I was a bit gutted about, but it's easy enough to get in the local supermarket. So, but that the whiskey that Hendo got me, Scapa, was very, very good. I do like a lot of smooth whiskeys. Oh, do you drink whiskey?
Oh yes.
Oh, what whiskey would you drink?
I like Jura.
Jura, I think that's the only major brand of whiskey I don't own. I mean, like, they're nice enough. I've just never committed to buying them.
And Arran, the Arran Distillery.
Yes, yeah, I've heard good things. Yeah. The whiskey, well, it's my go-to whiskey, Highland Park. They unfortunately don't make the whiskey anymore, but I did get 2 bottles before they stopped, and that was Einar. I'm not sure if he was a famous Viking or not, but it's hands down my favorite whiskey. The other stuff they do in Highland Park, Viking Pride, and I think Viking Honor, and they're both very, very good. Although I am starting to go back into my Irish whiskey. I do like Scottish whiskey, obviously, but Irish whiskey is starting to work its charm on me again. I must admit, especially the new. Yeah, I would Bushmills is where it's at. Jameson's, a lot of people rave about it, and I know each to their own. They've got their tastes, but for me, yeah, Bushmills all the way. Yeah, here if you're having a hot toddy, I find that if you fancy Bushmills, the Black Bush is the best one for a hot toddy. It's got a bit of like that spice to it that really gets it going. Especially it works really well with a lot of the other stuff you throw into a hot toddy. Just it smells like Christmas. Yeah, there's the question: have you finished your Christmas shopping or even started it?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I've started mine, but I'm nowhere near where I should be. I'm just like, I do this every year. I'm like, I'll start extra early this year, and then come the start of December, I'm like, crap.
See, for family-related issues, I have a younger sibling who I simply just do a bank transfer to. and leave that sibling to deal with procurement of Christmas presents. So that's it. I've done, and then a few personal shops I've done for individuals, but other than that, yes, it's all squared away.
Yeah, I need to up my game tomorrow. I'm gonna get up early tomorrow. In fact, even tonight and tomorrow, I think I'm really gonna go at it and get it all done. Especially with deliveries and stuff might be being delayed and just the normal Christmas rush. So yeah. Current night, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not having the same problem as I did last week, and not seeing any questions or anything we'd like to discuss. Oh no, go on.
Oh.
Yep. Oh yes. You'll be so. My cousin who I got up to no end of mischief with when I was a kid, is actually engaged to Amy. So she's saying that we have our wedding to pay for next year, so limited on the buying this year. Yeah, I can imagine, Amy. But you know what? I can't wait for your and Jordan's wedding because it's going to be kick-ass. I'm going to do everything in my power to be there. And after 4 pints of liquid courage, do my best MJ shuffle. Who knows? So yeah. Right.
Amazing.
That's... Yeah, it's going to be an amazing wedding.
Awesome. Hopefully COVID-free by then.
Hopefully COVID-free and fucking rid of the madness. Right, folks, we're going to call an end to the stream because we haven't get the MJ moves. I will do. I will get some dance classes or something. I'll set a challenge for myself to learn how to dance by your wedding, Amy. There you go.
I bet there's a dance teacher in the Iron Council.
Oh yes, so I don't know. Is that manly enough, Nathan? I don't know. Yeah. Big thank you to everyone who joined the stream tonight. It is always a pleasure to have you with us, and we really enjoy your company. Nathan, thank you a million again for coming on, and yeah, we will see you guys next week. It could be Thursday, it could be Friday. We'll keep you informed. I'm not going to make a schedule on Twitch just yet because we're not quite that established. But yeah, love and appreciate you all, and we will see you next week. All the best. Have a great weekend, and Merry Christmas. Bye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. See you there, brother. Bye.
Later. Bye.